and share screen. There we are. I better put it in the Ninja Trade Hub as well. Just pop it in there and then we're ready to go. Okay, great. So welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope everyone's having a good day. This is the London to New York crossover using the Harmonic Scanner. And as you all know, I trade pitchforks. If you want me to show you anything on pitchforks, then please ask away, ask questions. Very happy for this to be interactive. I do the 25 to life strategy because that's an easy one for new people. If you're here on the 7-day trial, welcome, welcome, welcome. Please come into the, let's see if I can find the, you'll be in the Financial Freedom Movement trial group, this one. So you've got all this week, I know it's Easter at the end of the week, you've got all this week to have a look at Paul's introduction video and then please go through the units. This has all been very well organised over the years. So there's a lot of free information, very good information, compounding spreadsheet, the power of compounding, how to use TradingView, free version, the live trading schedule. You've got up to 8 hours a day. There's more now, 9 with the live traders. And then once you join, you'll come into our Ninja Forex Traders group. There's nearly 500 of us in here now. Again, please watch Paul's introduction video. Forex isn't a get-rich-quick scheme. It is a slow and steady, consistent, you know, that's what wins the race, and it's a process. So watch Paul's introduction video and then go into the units and please work your way through the units. And after you've done that, then I think I've closed out the site, but I'll just, if it'll let me in, because I know a lot of people the world over are having server issues. It was certainly quite glitchy this morning on Go Live. So you'll come into im.center. Oh, that's good. It's let me straight in. Last night it was having problems. And down here on the left, you'll see academies. This is where you will find the library. So please, 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 you know, go to the English version. And then down here, the 100 series is a must. These are tiny, short 5-minute videos, and they say, they tell you everything. What is a pip? What is Forex? Who are the main market players? It gives you that grounding, that foundation on which to build. Now, the 200, 300, 400 series goes into more detail. Yeah. So treat it as a library. If you want to learn something about quarter theory, you'd find it in here, or what is a moving average. So you don't have to plow your way through the whole lot. It does get more advanced as you go on. But if you are thinking, I'd like to know more about quarter theory or 62 EMA or what is a Bollinger Band, you will find that in the 200, 300 and 400 series. Yeah. So, you know, use those as a library. And Go Live is where all the live sessions are. I've just been on the London Live with Chance this morning. And then the strategies are where we find our products. So I am in the Harmonics. That's free with your Platinum package. That's what I use. I look at that most mornings. A lot of us use that. And then the other one that a lot of us use is Vibrata, known as Web Analyzer, which is the basis for the Be Your Own Bank. And Be Your Own Bank, I think, was created by Tasha Dyer. If you type her into the Go Live, you'll find her there. I haven't looked recently, but I'm pretty sure she was the creator. So that's the basis for Be Your Own Bank. And then on the Harmonics, I was just halfway through drawing. Oh, this is the one that I'm in, and I know some of you are in. I've had to set a take profit at 20 pips on this because of being on this session. I'll go through this one. it's not a 25 to life. I've just gone on it. I'll show you why on my usual strategy. And you do your 25 to life. You can draw that up on here. I don't know at the moment if Tony Lupino is on, but he showed me this morning. So please reach out to Tony. Excellent little strategy on how to keep your same settings and put your fibs on. He's got a brilliant little check sheet he's created for that. So let's start by looking at this one. So I look at these. I set up my charts, or I try to at the beginning of each week, and then each of these brokers, you can choose any of them. It really doesn't matter. It has no bearing on your own choice of broker. Trader's Way is the one that I start with, because Forex is just really a pattern and a process and repeating yourself over and over. I just go to Trader's Way, which is the main feed. I go to the hourly scans, and if I click on that, it'll bring up these ones. So I was looking at these ones at the top and drawing them up. And then I got into OR JPY, and let's start by going through that. So, because I know Ian and I were discussing this offline this morning. So you can see that I enter on the one. Yeah, hello.
Sorry, I'm not being funny here, but is it just the two of us on this call?
No, I can see 13 people on.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
It's only got 2 for me.
Yeah, I don't know why. It says that 14 people are on.
Yeah,
I can't
good. Okay, forget that. I just thought you were going over stuff we've already been over.
Oh, no, it's fine, because this is recorded, so it'll go up onto my YouTube channel anyway. So that's absolutely fine. People often watch later if they're busy at work or they've got other commitments with family or children. So no worries, that's fine. So I always enter on the 1 minute because that's the way I can work to a tight stop loss. You'll see that I've got a 10 pip stop loss here and a 20 pip take profit. The other areas that I've set, and we'll go through this, are a line down here at, I got in at 67,431. So it's at 67,131 here is 30 pips. And then if I take that line down to here, there's another pitchfork there. It's an old pitchfork coming through, as indeed there is one there. So I will watch out for price stalling out at levels. Price moves between levels. And then if it gets through these 2 levels, you've got to take profit down here at quarter theory at 67.000, which is about 40 pips. So that's how I work those out, because when you get into a trade, never get into a trade unless you know how you're going to get out of that trade and what your plan is. So I know very clearly, there's my line I've marked at 1 pip stop profit. So once it gets the 10 pips or thereabouts, you just get a feel for the market. I mean, it might stall out on this line here, where you can see some previous lines of support and resistance. I know when I'm rattling away, Paul always says I sound like I'm kind of talking to myself in my own little zone. If you want me to slow down or ask questions or interrupt, very, very happy. I do appreciate you being on, and I don't want to waste anyone's time. I'm really happy to chat about anything. And if I don't know something, I'll say who does or find out. So please, do feel free to ask. I can, and I should say, any of you in any trades, or is there anything you'd like me to look at, or any questions you want to ask on this strategy or the indicators I use, please ask. And if you also want to post questions before I come on every day live and message me and say, oh, Sarah, could you cover this on your session? Then I very gladly will. So I've put on my 1 pip stop profit. Price could well come down to around that level, which is 6 pips here, and it might decide it's stalling out there. And at that point, depending on what I think it's going to be doing, I might put my stop profit in at that point because it might be reversing on me. But at the moment, I've just set my alert for 10 pips and I have set a take profit for 20 pips because of being on this session. So I can't keep looking at that live account. So at the moment, it's still saying on the hull, I don't use this for entries, I use this for exits. It's still saying that's the 15-minute band that price is going up. It's stalling out along that line there. Now, I don't mind stalling out because that means price has got to make a 50-50 decision. Is it going to go up or down? That was my 1-minute trend line. It broke and retested that, and it came under the 62 EMA. Let me just take that off there to see, so you can see more clearly. So the reason I liked this trade off the D point, now Ian told me this morning that it redrew from 8 a.m. I didn't actually look at it at that point. So down here, the D point was originally down here. So I only drew the scan. I didn't realize that because I was doing other things. I hadn't looked at it, that's all. So it redrew up to here. And the reason I like this trade is because I've got a pitchfork going along here and quarter theory. So it's already done its break and its retest. Now I know what you're thinking. It doesn't look like it's touched the line, but when I drew it, it was only 1.6 pips or thereabouts, 1.2. So I consider that a touch because it's a $6.6 trillion market and dollar market a day. So what are my confirmations? I've had a break and a retest of the D point. I've got price under quarter theory, and I've had a touch of the pitchfork. So I've got my 3 confirmations. In addition, on this trade, I've got a break and a retest of the 1-minute trend line. So that's 4 confirmations on this trade. So I've done all I can. I'm not emotional about this trade. I've got 2 barriers up here protecting me between price and stop loss, the pitchfork and quarter theory, and I've got a 10-pip stop loss. So I've got 2.8 pip cushion there. So I'm not touching this now. If it is above the 62, it is still green. And if that's what it's doing, that's what it's doing. I'll just put that back on for you. So if it comes up here and then breaks through, but you can see the 62 is very, very flat. And I did also put on the 30-minute candle, which were doji candles. And actually what I'll do is put on the hourly candle so we can have a look at that. So when you're trading, you know, I see it's just hitting that now. Great. So it might stop me out. But if, you know, if it stops me out, I'm going to get in this trade again. Once it behaves itself and comes under here. I mean, I don't know, maybe that D point's going up further. Still, it probably is going to stop me out. So that's quite a big wick, and there's no red flag news that I've got. So let me just look at the 1-hour candle. I mean, I could close the trade now, to be honest. That means I've got to stop sharing because it's on my new C Trader account. So let's have a look at what the hourly candle is telling us. Let's put that on Zoom for you. So the hourly candle at 1 o'clock, you see, was a doji. So I like the look of that, but it is still climbing and it looks like it might take me out, but I'm just going to have to suck that up if it does that. Because I'm not going to close it at the moment. New settings on Zoom, you have to let people in. Oh, I thought I'd turned that off. Sorry, everyone. I thought I'd turned that off on my, thank you for letting me know about that. It's kind of you. That's why I think, Ian, that you could only see admit all. Sorry, everyone. I think that's why you could only see us in it, Ian. That's why.
So right now,
sorry?
It's 24. I've had about 10 goes. 15, 19, 20, 25, 23. Should put you're getting better.
Just see who's chattering away there. There's one. There's one. Okay. And
hi, Sarah. It's Jonathan.
Hiya, how are you?
Yeah, I've been trying to get in for a little while. You okay?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. It's these new settings on Zoom. I went in, thank you ever so much, someone, for letting me know. I went into the Zoom settings this morning and I changed it to take off co-host and allow people in without a waiting room.
Oh,
So,
right.
so I don't know why I haven't saved it properly. I always struggle with technology issues
I
when
know the feeling.
things change. So I got completely rattled with that. I got rattled the other day with Facebook changing its visuals. And also I've got a new and additional trading platform, C Trader, as well as my MT4. So I was learning that as well. So,
Okay.
you know, got a bit fraught. You cannot minimize while you are recording. Okay. I'll just see if I can move that over. Exit full screen. Yeah, so thanks for your patience, everyone. Just trying to move this off the main window. Can't seem to grab it. There's another little issue. Ah, that's gone now. That's great. So the hourly candle has closed. Where are we? You can see it over here. There's the little ticker turning down. It says 36 minutes of this hourly candle. So it is.
You're not
Can't see
sharing
the chat, Sarah.
Oh, okay. That's because I stopped sharing to deal with the controls. Stop video. Where's my share screen gone? There. More. Why have I lost my share screen? Is that up the top? Stop video, no, more. Recording. Right, where's share screen gone? Usually it's down the bottom here. I did, as I say, I did play around with my settings this morning, but let me, oh, I know, put it on full. There we are. Sorry. Right, okay. So as you can see, the D point is still climbing. That has stopped me out on my 10 pips. And I would think the D point is going to redraw again. So if I just come back down to the 1 minute, this is all JPY, which of course is an Asian session pair.
Yeah, we stopped out, haven't we?
Yeah, that doesn't mean to say that you can't trade pairs any time of day. It's just that's usually when you will get most activity, is when the hot pairs are in their session, as we say, when the sun is out in their time zone. So that one stopped me out. It's broken right through quarter theory and the pitchfork. But, you know, once you've decided on a strategy, all you can do is follow your confirmations, because if you've got your checklist, this is my checklist. I think I've got it up here. This one. This is my checklist. So I had the pitchfork touch. I had it price a break and retest of quarter theory. It dropped below the 62. I mean, I had more than 3 confirmations, and I had a 1 minute break and retest of the 1 minute trend. So, what I didn't look at though, because I came on live here, was whether I had 2 flips on the hull, because I did see the hull was in green, to be fair. So I think, you know, that if I'd been here on my own, I might have come out of the trade at that point. And then usually I'll just use that for an exit. So if it flips twice in the opposite direction, then I'd get out of the trade. So that's where we are with ORD JPY. All well and good. It's stalled, came above the 62. So at that point, really, I should have got out the trade, I suppose. So it's quite difficult, I find, sometimes when you're in these. I think the lesson is trade early before I come on this session, say at 8 or 9 my time. And look, it's dropping now. So I'm, you know, if I was here on my own, I probably would get back into that once it comes under the 62 again and under the quarter theory and the pitchfork, because it is a very nice scan. And, you know, it's one that I've spent some time on. So we'll leave that one at the moment and come back to the harmonic scanner. And that has redrawn at 2 o'clock because that was on noon. So it's redrawn there to 2 o'clock my time. It's just redrawn. So that does need, do need to change the D point. So I think that's the other lesson, is have a look at the scanner, just double check whether you've still got the D point solidified before you actually get into a trade. I was fine when I was in it at that point, but you know, it had redrawn from 8 o'clock to 12 o'clock, which you know, caused a few issues for some people. So the other ones that I've been looking at today are Euro JPY. Now I haven't done anything with this because I got halfway through putting the pitchfork on and then the phone rang, so I was busy with something else. So that is this one here. And I put an alert on that. In fact, it's just come up to hit my alert. So this is another good one to look at for a trade. Euro, of course, is a London session pair. JPY is Asian. So you can see it's just coming up there. Now I put, I'll take that one off. That's an old pitchfork, which I had on just to remind me that there are quite a few pitchforks. You can't see the others faded out that are coming through in the background. And I don't know whether this is worth looking at for a 25 to life. It might be. I don't know whether it's passed, probably hasn't passed the point yet. So let me take the alert off and we'll get a trade, see if we get a trade setting out of this on 25 to life. Just get rid of that alert. So let's take off what I've got here. We don't need any of those. I'll just hide the quarter theory. So time of day is important when you trade. Really, you want to have an hour of trading on your own each day, an hour of education. You want 4 hours of chart setup and having a look at pairs you're going to trade in advance over the week. You want to be doing about 20 hours a week if you progress as a trader. And you want about an hour while you're trading for this little bit of chart analysis, sort of divide that up, you know, 5 or 10 minutes on each chart that you're looking at, and then have about an hour or so of back testing up to 3 or 4 hours. You can do that at weekends. The quarter theory indicator doesn't work at weekends. That's the only thing. So, you know, and you want an hour of education a day. So you want to be looking at some of those videos and that kind of thing. So I think time of day is important, and then the time of the hour, having a look at what the candles, because the candles tell you the story. And they tell you the story on the 15-minute candle, the 30-minute candle, and I look at the hourly candle as well. So I'm just going to hide this pitchfork because you don't need that. And hide, no, I don't need to hide that. So you want to make sure you're on the same time frame up here on the left that you would be for the scan that you've drawn. And this was an hourly harmonic scan that I drew this morning. Now you can do this on the harmonic scanner. I just like to do it on TradingView because when you log out of the harmonic scanner, you'll lose anything that you've drawn on there. But I think, as I say, Tony Lupino might have a little cheat sheet way of saving some fib settings. And I just hope there isn't someone else waiting. 2 people are waiting. Yeah, I'm going to have to try and sort myself out on this. I think that's when I hear a ping, I have to let people in. So let's get our fib to put our 25 to life on. Now we've got 2 candles to the left of the D point and 2 candles forming to the right. So you won't know until the last few minutes of the hour how the candle solidifies. It makes its decision at the end. So bearing in mind, you may have to adjust what we're going to put on, the level of the 0 point. Can anyone tell me at the moment which they think is the candle that we should be drawing the 50% line through? Does anyone know on 25 to life?
It's the second one on the left, Sarah, the green one.
This one?
Yep.
And do we take just the body or the body and the wicks?
It's the body, so the middle
Body.
center of the body.
Great, thank you, Debs. That's Debs, isn't it? So what I'll do then is get a horizontal line and measure 50% of that second candle on the left. So that's about there. And if you want to be more precise, because I know some people have an engineering precision type mentality, which is absolutely fine. I don't, I just tend to slap the line on really. So, well, I do measure it actually, that's a bit unfair. So measure that down, just take your measuring tool from the left, and that's 11 pips, body to body. So just come back and find the halfway point here. And that's about right. So anyway, so we've got our halfway point, and I'll change color on that because we're going to put some other lines on. And you know me, I like my little Star Wars setups. So we'll come now down, back to the left-hand menu, and you see where that pitchfork symbol is at the top. This is where you'll find something. You can see I've got it favorited down here, yeah, called fib retracement. And all that means is that it's going to put on a highly mathematically accurate set of coordinates that are very, very accurate, and the Fibonacci sequence is used throughout nature, and that's what makes it so powerful. So I should have the settings. I'll show you the settings. I should have it already set up. So you always, whether this is a cell scan, so we're looking for a cell limit, which is a pending order, and that's why I like this strategy, because it means you can set it all up, and then it'll only trigger if it hits a specific point. You've not got to rush in your decision making. You've got time to consider it, which is, you know, really helpful, particularly if you're fairly new on your journey in Forex trading. So I've got the magnet on the left, click on the D point, and then I'm going to come down, and it's the 0% line. This is a white line because I use the dark color theme on my trading view. If you are using the Harmonic Scanner, our de facto standard is we have the zero line in black. So I'm going to drag that to where I've got my yellow line, okay, because it's going to sit at that 50% of the body of the second candle to the left. And the reason we're using that candle is we think it's going to end up being the one that's furthest away from the D point. And I say we think because this is still forming, and that's the second candle to the right. So until it's actually completed at the end of the hour, I don't know. It looks like it's going to be fine, but I don't know for 100% that it's going to remain like that. You know, if it drops down lower, we'll have to measure 50% of that one and bring your 0 line down accordingly. I'll just take off that yellow line there. So now we've got that set up. What have we actually got here? Well, you can see we've got 4 lines, and each of these are very specifically worked out from one of our top educators, and then Paul and John Doherty took it and refined it, and that has created for us a really brilliant, highly accurate, simple strategy called 25 to life. And that's because the 25 line is our entry point. I'll just show you the settings if you want to take a screen grab here. So I right clicked. So if you pull that Fibonacci over and right click it, and it's got all sorts of different things in the boxes, simply go through, look, untick everything, and then put in these 4 numbers. 0, tick the box. I've got mine in white. If you're drawing this on the Harmonic Scanner over here, you'll want it in black, obviously, otherwise you won't be able to see it. Hang on, that's it. And then 0.25, which is going to, in blue, is going to be our entry line on a sell limit. 1 is going to be, I don't like red, so I use pink, is going to be our stop loss. And minus 0.75 is going to be, that's green, is going to be our take profit. So I'll just give you a moment to take a screenshot. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds, I'll go. And that's giving you the settings. So now what we're going to do is wait for, we're going to wait for a candle. If I get the brush, I can show you. We're going to wait for the 3rd candle to, the body must close, not just the wick, to break out of the white line. As long as it's the body or part of the body, not just the wick, break out of the white line. I don't know how far it'll go, for how long, it doesn't matter, but it needs to come up. And then as soon as it hits that 25 line, you will have set up a pending order. And I can see I've got an old JFEX account at the bottom on an MT4 trading platform. So I'll show you on that how you set a pending order on this. Hopefully it's still working because I haven't used it for ages. Euro JPY. And then once it's hit that line, then it'll come down, or it should come down, and there's your take profit line. So you can set your take profit. I'll write this trade down. So we've got, if you come to the left-hand menu, the little sort of lines with circles, a short position for a sell, long position is a buy. So tick on short position and move it to your blue line there. Okay, click on it, and that's brought, oh, that's a fat box. Slim that down a bit. So that's what I like to use, and I've just pulled that down there. So I've got a 35 pip stop loss for a there, and these harmonic scans are very accurate. They normally go down to take profit 2 and beyond. I don't usually bother with take profit 3. So you've got a choice here. You can do the 25 to life for that one simple set of the Fibonacci, or you can literally come on here and follow the scanner. Now, when the scan has finished drawing, if you, this is fine, this looks like it's fine, but if you see a scan where it's gone like straight, the price has just carried on straight up and it's gone past stop loss, that means what you call a failed scan. So don't use it, but 89% of them are highly accurate because they also have Fibonacci built in, these reversal points. They're based on maths as well. So you can follow these simple figures here and place your own trade that way. That's entirely up to you. These will take a bit longer to fulfill. This is an hourly time frame. So, you know, you'll have a bigger stop loss there. And you've got to work out your risk to reward ratio. So that's 39, 40 pip stop loss for a, come to the entry. You've got take profit 1 there, 45 pips to 77, and then down to 128. So you have to work out your risk to reward ratio and what you feel comfortable with and how many pips you're going to go for. so that you know, do apply some judgment depending on your style of trading and what type of trader you are. You know, some people like to be in a trade for a short period of time, and some people like to be in for longer. So let's just go back to our that was because I had sorry, I had an alert set on that, I think. Can't see it now. So let me just draw this one up for you. So I'm going to write down Euro JPY. We're going to have a stop loss of 11884. I'll call it 0 instead of 842. An entry, because we're going to do this as a pending order, which means it will only activate if it exactly hits that price, and if it doesn't, there's no harm done. You're not in the trade. So that's 1184490, and then a take profit of 118.025. So you can see it over here. The green figure is your take profit. The red one is your stop loss, and then your entry line price is the grey box there. And what you can see in blue is current price. And then I'm on the hourly. You must draw your 25 to life on the same time frame that you drew it up or using it on the scanner. So in this case, it's an hourly time frame. So you can see it's got 16 minutes. That's the timer counting down for an hourly candle, which is that one there. So we'll now go and put, I'll show you a pending order, but we can't put it on yet until we know where that candle closes, okay? So let's have a look at my JFX account, which I haven't been in for ages, absolutely forever. So I don't know if it's even going to open. This should just be, yeah, demo account. So Euro JPY here. You can just drag it across. Oh, I've got one open there. Yes, there's the trade. Right, so if you were doing a pending order, that look like it's working. New order, and this box will come up. So I've got Euro JPY. You have to decide on your lot size, which will be dependent on the account size that you have, and using myfxbook.com, which is what we use to work out our lot sizes, or you can come into the units on in our Ninja Forex Traders group, and Mike Penny has created a simple little spreadsheet to save you having to go on myfxbook. I'm not sure when he last updated it, but you can look in there as well. So decide on your lot size. This is a micro lot, the smallest one you can have, 0.01, 10 cents a lot, and then it would go up to 1.00, which is $1, and then sorry, that's $10 up there. So you can have and 0.1 would be $1. And then there's your lot sizes, and it will cut you off depending on how big your account is. So say you had 0.05 on it, and we want a stop loss, but we're going to do pending order. We're not going to get in straight away. And in this case, because it's a sell scan, click on your downward menu, and you want something called a sell limit. And what that means is that that price is going to come up and hit that blue line, and that's the limit at which we're saying that's the limit of the price at which we're saying we want to sell that currency. So that's different from a sell stop, and a sell stop is like a bus stop. It will be when price is coming down and you get on the bus. Sell stop, you get on the bus and then you carried on through and down. And obviously it's the opposite way round on a buy scan. So we want to sell limit, and it's going to be at the moment. So don't get into this at the moment. Do not get into this. This is just to show you a pending order because you don't know that the candle's closed the other way. I'm not going to tick an expiry. I'll leave it at the moment. And we're going to put a stop loss in and then a take profit. So our stop loss is going to be 118.840. And at the moment, our take profit is going to be 118.025. And I will adjust this after the end of this call when I see how that hourly candle closes. Okay, so don't get into this. Do not get into this on your live account. And if you're new, please practice. Do at least 100 demo trades before you go live, because it just helps you repeat the process. It's just like learning to bake a cake or drive a car. So I'm going to place that pending order, double check your figures. And the reason I double check the figures is because I've written, no, I have, that's correct. Take profit 118025. The price we want 118490, and the stop loss 118840. So that looks good. So I'm going to place that. That's given me invalid. What have I done wrong there? 118. Why have I got an invalid stop loss? 118. Can't see what I've done wrong there. 118840. Stop loss. Take profit. Sell limit. At price 118490. Oh, where's price at the moment? Maybe that's
I think
why.
price is above it, Sarah.
Oh, that's why then. So what is price at the moment then? Does anyone let me look.
I
118.
think it's near the D point at the moment. It's a bit closer to the D point than it is.
118.879. It's near the D point. 1186. 118.895.
In fact, I think it's gone
It's
slightly
gone
back.
up, hasn't it? So
Yeah, and you probably redraw, I would imagine.
it's going to redraw, isn't it, this one? So
Think possibly.
just for the purposes of this demo, that's why its price is shooting up. I'll put it in at 11119. It's all that's still going up. All right, I'll put it in at 120. But do not do this, please. This is just because yesterday I hadn't learnt C Trader properly, and I tried to do a pending order on it and messed it up. So I wanted to show you how to do a pending order. I was still saying, God, no, I can't see what I'm doing wrong, messing this up. And the reason is, this is my excuse, I only ever do market executions anyway, so I've never actually in my life placed a pending order, to be honest, because I'm just a scalper, you know. I don't ever set trades up, but I do like 25 to life. I have to think this is a brilliant strategy, but I cannot see why my stop loss isn't working. On a pending order, sell limit, stop loss at 120, that's above. It's really odd with the take profit. Oh, I see, maybe it's that. No, 11892.
I think,
oh, I see, it's the number of, all right.
I think it's because, Sarah, you're asking it to go up to a price to come down, but in fact, that price is getting further and further away. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in other words,
it's because if we go, oh, there it is. Yeah, it's gone right up there.
Yeah.
So this is obviously redrawing, isn't it? This is invalid at the moment. It's going right up there very quickly.
So, so what you're asking it to do is to come right back down, go under the 1% mark, and then go back up to the 25 to come back down. So you're pending, you won't be able to place that pending order
until it's below. Until it's below. Until it's below. Oh, until it's below the blue line.
Yes.
Oh, thank you, Dabs. Thank you for that. So here is our D point at the moment, and it's obviously decided that it's going to redraw, so it's probably going to end up here, isn't it? If not further.
Like that, Sarah, wouldn't it change from a sell limit to a sell stop?
No, because that's not on our confirmation checklist, is it? Of 25 to life, we just do sell limit. We're waiting for the structure of the break of that white line, and then the retest. So that is a sell limit. that's you know, when we do any strategy, we always have a set of rules, don't we? So to do a sell stop, I mean, if you've got your own setups where you've looked at that harmonic scan, and me, for example, I'd have a pitchfork off that D point, then I may very well be entering the trade if I see it come. If, say, the D point redraws somewhere up here, I've got the padlock on. If it redraws up here and you've got a pitchfork on, then there's no reason why one can't say, you know, wait for that break and retest up here, but that isn't 25 to life, and come in again on the trade, like I'll do probably on AUD JPY. So if you wanted to do a sell stop, you could, that's your decision, but it wouldn't be then a 25 to life set of rules. And that's the whole point, I think, about any trading strategy, is you have to stick to your confirmations. So, you know, if we come back there, look how far that's gone. If we come back to, you know, I can feel very peed off that I've got stopped out on AUD JPY, but if I look at my system that I follow, I'm still compounding. So if I do 2 wins, 1 loss and 1 break even a day, for example, and I'm doing 9% a week, 33 a month, 100 a quarter and 400 a year, 400% a year, then I know where I am in the day. You know, you've got to work out on your trading strategy, whether you want to get in, what rules you're using to get into a trade. When I got into this trade, I had all the confirmations. I had all the confirmations to get into the trade. As far as I'm concerned, this is one of the 30% on my strategy that fail. So I can be comfortable with that in the parameters of the strategy that I use. And I think that's the thing about people that just grab pips without thinking about their percentage profit or their risk to reward. I just don't understand why people want to just grab pips without thinking of the context of where they are in their growth on their account, or their yearly goals or quarterly goals. Because, you know, otherwise you'd get very fed up, wouldn't you, if you lose a trade? You think, well, why did I lose it? Well, I know why I lost it, because it's now redrawing. But at the time, it had already redrawn once, and it had all my confirmations. Plus, that D point was protected with both the pitchfork and quarter theory, so doubly strong. So nothing I could have done about that. But because of everything I've said and following the strategy, if it redraws up here, then it won't necessarily put me off coming back in this for a trade, looking at it later on.
Hi Sarah, it's Ian.
Hi Ian.
While we're on this subject, I think you know where I'm going with this. This whole base strategy relies on the harmonic pattern, okay? And we just witnessed it now being redrawn. Unfortunately, over the last couple of weeks, well, for me, any case, most of these patterns I've been looking at, when I've been getting into a trade, they keep redrawing, making my trade very vulnerable. And unfortunately, it's all backfired on me because of these redraws. And it does concern me how these are, at the moment, are just redrawing when you're putting a lot of faith in the pattern being, well, stable. What I have noticed is the D point, I'm going to have to say this, I find it a bit flaky why these patterns are putting the D point at certain positions when they would have been better off either being a bit lower or a bit higher because of historic resistance support levels. And these are usually qualified by your quarter theory, where you get your resistances, supports from that for whatever trade you're going into. And it just concerns me at the moment, as much as I don't want to really say this, but these harmonic patterns over the last couple of weeks have been a bit unstable. Because, I don't know if it's because of what's been going on in the big world or whatever, but it just concerns me that you get this D point, you build your trade around the D point, some of us, well, including me, are getting into these trades because we're following the strategy, only for the D point to suddenly move.
Yes, well, it's the markets, I think, because markets are also seasonal. We've talked about time of day, and we've talked about the 4 candles on the hour, the 15-minute, 30-minute, you know, and looking at the hourly. And the markets are also seasonal. So throughout the winter, from mid-December to about mid-January, we saw virtually no scans at all, very low volume of pips, and it was, you know, it was quite tough to squeeze your pips out. And I always say, if you can make your pips in the winter, you can make your pips anytime, because it's, you know, jolly good sort of like tough training ground.
Yeah.
Then what we've had now, of course, we've had some huge scans drawing, some of them like, you know, 1,000 pips, you know, massive scans have drawn. And we've also had, you know, the pandemic. So what we're seeing now will be the norm for a long time to come. And that's why we say, you know, in this, what has become the new normal, you've got to increase your stop loss or expect more losses and be a more aggressive trader. So that is why, particularly, and it ain't going to go away anytime soon, it is so, so important to get that stop profit in of 1 pip as soon as possible for the risk-free trade, because no one, like, for example, last night foresaw that Boris Johnson was going to be taken into the intensive care unit, the UK Prime Minister, and that on GCAD as one example. I wasn't in it, but GCAD, as you know, dropped 200 pips. Nobody's fault. You can't foresee that. So that is why in these markets where now the health impact coming through into the economy, with the effect on oil, restaurants, travel. I mean, I'm a directly affected business owner. Overnight, the French government's closed my apartments, and it doesn't look like they're going to be open anytime the rest of this year, because apparently they've said even if the lockdown is finished in the summer, they don't want the French people, or they don't want people in France traveling anywhere more than locally. So, you know, it takes a while for people to get their confidence back up. People will still be wearing masks and not going to restaurants unless they've been, you know, I was reading an article about the Far East, people being tested on their phone with a temperature before they're allowed through checkpoints or into bars. You know, so it's a whole new way of life coming in. So you're not going to get the markets changing anytime soon. So that means you've got to adapt your style of trading. It doesn't mean the scans are no good. It means they're reflecting what's happening in the markets, because, you know, they are 89% accurate on 100,000 independently tested scans. And that fact of the maths and the Fibonacci hasn't gone away. What has changed is the psychology of how, say, unemployment figures, which are red flag news with figures, but what lies behind that? Well, what lies behind that is the psychology of the market. You know, how does it affect how people feel? And that's why you get, you know, D point. I don't know what's caused the D point to redraw. No idea. It could just be one of that 11% where the D point redraws. But
well, I think it's more than 11% at this moment. I think if we did the same testing again, it would be a lot higher than 11% the redraws. What I'm looking at is when I see a D point, I go on the quarter and I see where it lies between the 2 boundaries. And if it's lying between 2 of the boundaries in the middle, I'm not really interested in the scan. But if it's on one of the boundaries, then I feel a lot more comfortable.
Well, I felt comfortable with all JPY, and look what happened to me this morning. You know,
yeah, same here.
You know, and I thought that was a very safe one, and it had already redrawn once. But, you know, what lesson does one take from that? Well, the lesson I took from that is I didn't get into it very long before I came on this, and I'm not blaming this. I love doing this every day. But what it says to me is I need to increase my gap between when I do some trading myself and before I come on my session. So I'm going to do my trading,
yeah,
you know, 8 or 9 in the morning.
You got on that, we talked about this already, but I'll share it. You got on the ORJAD, or JPY, what, noontime, wasn't it? When the D was literally on the quarter boundaries.
Yeah, I thought it looked brilliant, and I had my confirmations. In fact, I had four confirmations, so I don't regret getting into it.
and you could have a small stop loss on it. Well,
I
with me, I
always have a small stop loss.
I got stuck on it right in the middle, and that's a lesson I've learned.
Yeah, because the D point was at 8 a.m., wasn't it? So, you know, you did your best. I suppose, again, we can take a lesson from that on back testing, which is to say, given the volatility of the markets, to double check the scanner on it, because you don't need a lot of trades to carry on compounding. So double check the scanner, just give yourself that extra sort of tick in the box, you know, to say, oh, did the D point withdraw before I decide to get into it, or stick to something like 25 to life where it's a pending order, because that then is not going to trigger unless it hits a specific line, is it? Well, I suppose you've still got the D point redrawing issue potentially.
Well, you will. It will apply for the 25 to life as well, because remember, that's a limit line. As soon as you hit that limit, the trade kicks in, and if the D then decides to redraw,
yeah, you're stuck then.
You're stuck, you know. So I don't think there's a 100% answer. I just think it'll be good, you know, people trading like this need to, or going to use this strategy, need to be aware of this.
Ian,
yeah.
Can I ask, are you just trading off the scanner and no other strategy?
Am I trading off the scanner? Yeah, I'm trading off the scanner.
But you're just using the scanner. You're not
No,
using.
I'm using one or two other resistant levels,
Okay.
support levels.
Okay. It's just that the 25 to life for me gives you some extra confirmations before you get into the trade. That's the whole purpose of it. I'm not preaching. Don't get me wrong, but I think you're right. In this current environment, it's so volatile, and Sarah can only answer about, you know, she's been using the scanner for years now. But I guess, Sarah, you would say that the scanner has been quite different or difficult over the last few months.
Well, yes and no, because, you know, we're back to, you know, Paul's baseline is his mantras. Well, that's why I always go for 10 pips a day. So that is another strategy in this market, which is to be more of a scalper and get in and out of a trade. So I've always been more of that style. So for me, the 10 pip stop loss, putting a stop profit in of 1 pip as soon as possible and going for 20 pips, you know, that 1 to 2 risk to reward, I have found has helped generally keep me a lot safer. So, you know, it's, you know, but I like the scanner because I like the comfort of maths and Fibonacci, and I'm not a mathematician at all. I like the pattern, I like the reversal points. I can kind of see the roadmap because I like the Elliott wave, you know, this is the long leg, and that's what has formed that D point up there. I'll just take that off. So yes, the scanner has gone from very weird little mingy, nothing doing scans from mid-December through to Feb. Then we got some nice scans coming back in, and then of course we had the pandemic, which is, you know, it's the new norm. So all I can say is trust your confirmations, and I come back to saying you've got to increase your stop loss to cover yourself for those you know, more volatility, and to cover yourself for the wicks in the market, to make sure that you get a 1 pip stop profit in as soon as possible. Then you've got a risk-free trade. So you've got to move faster and smarter, but you've still got to be quite aggressive on your trading, I think. Because, you know, I mean, I'm not put off getting back in toward JPY because I've been stopped out at 10 pips, and I don't mean that as a revenge trade thing. I just mean, you know, I did have the confirmations. Okay, the D points redrawn, and I've just put it in here. But I still like the setup. The scan is not a failed scan if the D points redrawn, is it? So that's now, I've got the 7th of, sorry, I need to double check that. AJ. 7th of April at 1500, sorry. So let me come back here. Oh, so it's put us on that little green one. That's not quite right, is it? Yeah, sorry, that's me. That is correct up there. So at the moment, that's its new D point here. And what I'm liking about that, need to go in a minute, don't we? Because Sharon will be on. Is you can see the doji candles coming through here, which means the spinning tops mean indecision. So have a look, and as soon as it gets below quarter theory, then where you've got the candle closing beneath these key floors and ceilings, ceiling resistance points, then again you're going to get your set of confirmations. So I probably will be back in this trade at some point. And on EJ, let's have a look at what's that before we go. Just as we've got the 25 to life setting up there. Here, there it is. So here we are on the hourly for Euro JPY on a, oh, it's just refreshing. That wasn't me. Try again. There it is. So you've got your hourly 25 to life. I'll draw that up after it's finished painting itself. So at the moment, price is right up at 118490. So it's now up at 118. Yes, it's up above what I had originally as the stop loss. So it just needs to settle down before we can draw this one up. But I found, Ian, just to finish on this note, I found the 25 to life ones that I've been involved with and set up have worked quite well. So, okay, one of them didn't go down the full way to the take profit one, but that's where I think one needs to keep an eye on trades, use your judgment, see where price is stalling out. And I think that one, I can't remember which one it was the other day, it went for 75 pips. So, I've certainly not found all of them being different.
Well, I wouldn't say it's all of them. I wouldn't say that, but certainly it's a higher percentage than what we can expect, what we have been expecting over the last 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Which is what concerns me. I've been in quite a few.
Yeah.
And it does. It knocks my confidence in trusting in the scanner. Yeah.
Well, not everyone uses the scanner. I mean, John Doherty uses levels, doesn't he? Oren Wright with his levels, with the lines of support and resistance. Quite a few people use the scanner, though. I think I've always used it since day one. I've always liked the scanner because it kind of does the heavy lifting for me. But I do see what you mean about. I think what one has to do is find one strategy and one educator and stick with that. That's the only way to build confidence, isn't it? To keep doing one thing and get to know one thing very well. I mean, I wouldn't go off and learn French and Spanish at the same time, for example. I like 25 to life because it fits in so well with the D point, and I'm always drawing scans and keeping them on trading view. So it kind of feels like a natural inherent part of the D point, and being able to take this trade here. Have you tried just taking these trades here? Or a portion of them as they come down, as the scanner comes down the levels?
Which trades are those?
This one off the D point that the scanner gives us when it's drawn one. This
when it's redrawn and getting in?
No, just I'm asking a general question. Have you ever taken a trade off the scanner where it's given you the figures here off the D point, the stop, the entry, take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3. Have you ever done one of these?
Oh, I've done loads of those, yeah.
And
I've
how
done,
did how did they work out?
25 to, well, off late, 99% of them are failing. That's my concern. That's my concern. Or some of them, that would have been a high percentage if it wasn't the fact that I held back and waited for Euro GPB, for example. Last week, it kept redrawing and redrawing. And if I'd have entered all those trades as per the book, you know, I'd have gone, my account would have been blown. So I'm having to revert to the old basics of, it's on a downtrend. I'm not going to touch this now until it's broken that downtrend.
Oh, do you mean
that,
this is the Euro GBP?
Yeah.
Do you mean this one?
Yeah, it redrew quite a few times. It seems to have ranged now, but it was on a downtrend.
Yes,
and,
I remember that one.
That concerned me, the fact that the scanner was just redrawing itself on a downtrend, and I thought, you know, it's just going to continue going down. And if I was going to get into each one when they put a D there, you know, that would have doubled my losses.
I remember that one.
That's the sort of thing I'm trying to, you know, this is what I was saying about gaps in all these strategies that need to be filled. And that was one there where, you know, it kept redrawing.
We don't make these strategies up. They're well proven from the live educators on the Go Live, aren't they? They're not things we've just made up. So I think with that Euro GBP one, I think it was Les that talked about it, and he was looking, I think it was his Sunday session, I can't remember which one, I wasn't on the whole thing, but on one of his sessions I caught a bit of it where he said, I'm not drawing this one at the moment because he said there's not enough of volume in the candles. He didn't like the fact that on that Euro GBP it was at this point, it was like that. So he used, I think this is the point, you've got to make it's a little bit of the feel of the market. You've got to make your own sort of bit of judgment. So at that point, I'm sure it was this one, because I was thinking about drawing it up. He wasn't drawing it up because he didn't like the fact that it didn't have a lot of, as we call it, wax on the candles. And Euro GBP in the best of times is not a fast moving pair anyway, because they're such similar currencies, the Euro against the GBP. I mean, it is starting to move now, but traditionally it's quite a slow pair. I think.
Yeah, going a bit deeper there, Sarah, you know, we're getting all these newbie guys come in who perhaps haven't got the experience like Les. So they would be going by the book and they would be getting into these trades because that's what we're teaching them. But it seems to me that there's this gap here where they need, you know, perhaps we as the experienced traders need to say, don't enter any of these trades yet. Although it keeps redrawing, don't go for it. Avoid these trades at the moment. Like most of us are avoiding the GPP because of its volatility and what's going on. See what I'm saying there? This is something I just feel.
I do see what you're saying. I think, you know, Les, if you were on Les's session, and you can see here, because this is an old scan, I haven't looked at Euro GBP for quite a while, so I'm still at that old D point. And as you've said, it's gone right down. It's moved another 50, 75 pips. But Les did say on his session, I'm not drawing it at this point. I think it must have been there. And sure enough, as you've said, it didn't bottom out till here. And now it is on its way. It is now, you can see the trend reversal there, although I'm on the hourly. So the only way that people are going to learn is coming on some of the live sessions, picking a strategy like 25 to life and BYOB, which are our main simple strategies that we stick to as our heart and the foundation of our group. And then you can branch out into some of this, whether it's Les's institutional candles or me with a pitchfork or finding some other indicators. So I think that's the point. You have to just look at honing in on one or two of the live sessions and the educators and really digging into that strategy. so it becomes second nature. Because that's the, I mean, I picked this strategy long before we had any of this refinement. So I've just stuck with it. And someone suggested to me the other day, well, why didn't I change strategies to something else? And I said, well, as I messaged you when we were chatting the other day, I said, because, you know, why would I want to put myself back at ground zero, you know, after so many years of getting to this point that I've got to, and that's just through sticking with one strategy. So it does, you know, I don't care what indicators people use. They certainly don't have to use the ones I'm using. They're all similar. If you use Bollinger Bands and extensions, which are what I use, are the ping price back into the scan. They're similar. I use the 62. If I overlay the 50 moving average, which is what you've got on BYOB running along the middle of the river of the Bollinger Bands, they run very similarly. So it's, I just choose to have this blue line, which shows me, without having to switch to the 15-minute time frame, what this 1 minute current momentum would look like if it was on the 15-minute chart. So at the moment, if I put that on, so it's just about, if I put that on at the moment, you can see the it's been in a downward trend, and the 62 is just beginning now to say it wants to start to try and come up, but it still hasn't crossed above. So I wouldn't be getting into this until that 62 does start to come up.
Yeah.
And then again, it's come off quarter theory. But has it had, it hasn't had a break and a retest, really. You know, it's, let's see how many pips that is. So yeah, you can't teach, Paul says this, you can't teach experience, can you?
No.
And if you're uncertain, not you personally, if you're new, you know, people have got to do that 100 demo trades before they, I consider that a touch, because that is only off by 1.2 pips. So you've got to get that experience under your belt on demo first for 100 trades. Oh, is that a bit more than I thought? Sorry, it's glitching on the Zoom. 7, no, that hasn't. So that hasn't actually done a break and a retest off the extension. So I'll probably wait. I would probably wait personally until it starts to come up above that D point line, as you said, you know, because it's bottomed out. And also we've got Boris Johnson in hospital on the pound, as you've said. So yeah, I agree.
For me, Sarah,
stuff going on.
Yeah, for me, Sarah, that one there. Sorry, guys, if I'm taking over here. What I did is once it redrew itself, and I've seen it happen before, where I felt it was going to go and do it again and again. I did a down channel. Okay, got the bottom and the top of the down channel, and I just waited for it to break that down channel. And it has broken that down channel. Then I'm just going to sit back and see what it decides to do. Will it range, or will it go up? Or will it start coming down again?
So on this one then, it's now down at the 2nd of April. It's down at this point.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So actually, I've just said something stupid, haven't I? Because I forgot. I need to put that down here. So it has broken and retested it now. And you're waiting for which channel?
Right, I had a down channel, okay, while it was coming down. It's broken it where you've got your blue line there.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where it broke my down channel. Okay, now remember the down channel will keep on going, and it's actually where it's gone up and come back down. It's actually retested that up and down channel, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So that told me that, right, okay, it's now going to change its attitude from going down to perhaps ranging, or perhaps even go back up. So, and I've noticed that they've not bothered redrawing it since then, so that's good.
Yeah, but of course, you know, we don't know what's going to happen with Boris. Things like that, do we?
Well, I think the bottom line is sometimes with what's happening in the UK, might be best to avoid all GPP pairs.
Yeah, I know. You did say that yesterday.
So then it's Europe. You know, Europe has the effective BRIC exit, so you avoid the euro. You just, you know, when do you allow the news to totally control you?
Well, you know, you can't legislate for something like the pandemic suddenly, or Boris being in hospital. All we can do is check our Forex factory here and stick to our rules. And as I say, I keep coming back to put that stop profit in at 1 pip as soon as you can after it's moved about 7, 8 or 10 pips. Then try and squeeze out your 5 pips. Use a bigger stop loss if you have to. Have as many protections between your price and your stop loss. In my instance on all JPY, I had the quarter theory and the pitchfork. You know, those wicks, those reversals can happen on you, and that's why you need to be protecting yourself as much as possible, but also still be a fairly aggressive trader, because you know, if you let stopping you out stop you getting back into another trade, you know, you just won't get anywhere. So you've got to, you know, I just stick to my rules, you know, I just stick to the, I really do, I do use some judgment, but I wouldn't get into a trade on 2 confirmations, for example. You know, learn a strategy and
I think
stick
the
to the rules.
lesson to learn here is to as much confirmation as you possibly can at the moment.
Yes, and as I've said, time of day, and also look at the 15-minute, 30-minute and hourly candle. They will tell you the story. But if something happens like Boris being rushed into the ICU, where it drops 200 pips, that you can't, you know, that was on GCAD that we looked at last night. You just can't, you can't beat yourself up over that, can you? You just can't, you know. That's, you know, equally you could be in something and suddenly, you know, it doesn't happen often. Equally, it can go the other way, and you can make 200, 150 pips on something that just, you've hit a big home run. I'm not trying to say that happens all the time, but you can't beat yourself up over that kind of loss. So here on the 15-minute, I can see it's done its break and its retest off the D point, but it's still under the 62. It got above there, so that did go for 100 pips up. I'm on a 15-minute chart. This is where I do my chart setups. It's broken back right down. It's stalled off quarter theory. It's now above. It's now in that wedge. So I certainly wouldn't want to get in it while it's in that wedge. Here, I'd be waiting to look to get into this at 0.88500. So that's what I should be looking at on Euro GBP if I get in it, depending on what Boris thinks he's doing in hospital, poor man. Not that I'm particularly trying to be political either way, I'm not, but I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So here's our current momentum, which is the 1-minute trend. And here we can see that the 7th, so this Euro did quite a move up against GBP there. So this would have been the entry point here, where we've had a break and a retest. Here, the 1-minute, sorry, if I draw the 1-minute trend, you've had a break and a retest of the pitchfork. The 62's come up above, that's check number 2. And we should find we've got a very nice little break of the 1-minute trend here, which would give me the 3rd confirmation. So that was the old trend coming down here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, about 7 touches there. That's my trend line. And then you can see it's now forming a new channel here. So again, you know, look at your trends, because that will also tell you what price is doing, because it's always forming channels. Price is always forming channels. So nice little entry there, and it's still above the 62 and above the 1-minute trend. So its next level now there's 20 pips up to quarter theory. Personally, I would not be getting into this because my entry point would have been here, where it's done the break and the retest, and then to be safe, there is where I would have got in on that. And I'd set it at 20. And ideally, I'd like that down below quarter theory, but that's quite a big stop loss for me, 20 pips. But that would be my entry point. So the break and the retest above the 62 there. And then I'd be going for that 20 pips. And then, you know, there's no level there. So price should want to go up to that 30 pips there. So I can't give you any more sort of like insight other than, you know, I just try and do my best and I stick to one thing. And I just carry on with my confirmations.
Yeah, Sarah, and I'll say now, finish off. This is the best way to do it. It really isn't what you're doing here. You know, I've been following this for the last couple of weeks in this volatile climate.
What I like about this strategy is that I'm on the 1 minute entry, and that doesn't mean that you're restricted to only 5 pips. What the 1 minute entry allows you to do is be incredibly precise on your entry, and you're looking at the current state of play in the market, the current momentum, and that's the power of it. It's so precise. I can see exactly what price thinks it's doing at this moment. But if I was looking at this on the 15-minute, then it would tell me that the 62 is still below the 15-minute, quite a gap. You know, I just can't get that precision on my entry. And this is what Chance has taught me, that precision on that entry and following his checklist. Because all of this stuff I tell you, I didn't even know what Forex was before. I've always wanted to be a stockbroker when I was about 20, but of course it was all 1980s and it was all men doing it, you know, and I wasn't from a wealthy family or anything. So I always had an interest in making money in the city. But all this stuff I tell you, it's only what I've learnt off other people, you know, and I've seen it work, and I've made it work for myself, and I've got fantastic confidence in it. But I got caught out this morning on all JPY, but I'm not beating myself up over it because of the statistics and because of knowing I've done my confirmations in.
What made you get into this pair? Why this pair compared to all the other pairs?
No, I'm not actually in this. Oh, you mean why am I don't know why that's.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't come up.
No, Harmonic Scanner's just.
I mean, we've got about 20 odd pairs we can go for, and it looks like this. Well,
because what I do is at the beginning of each week is I set the charts up on I try and do it on a Sunday night, where I go through the scanner and I find about 6 or 8 hours before I'm going to trade, I look for the scans. So I start with Trader's Way and I find the scans. So Euro GPP, I haven't looked at it for several days at all. So that's why it came back up in conversation. I haven't looked at that since Sunday, something like that. So why this pair? Well, I just go on the scanner and look at the hourlies, see if they're 80 pips, see if it's gone a minimum of 20 pips. Again, I'm just following my rules to get in, to draw them up, and I draw them up on TradingView, keep all the scans with the pitchforks. I just follow the same thing.
So C to D's got to be 80 pips, yeah?
On this strategy, yes, because then with a pitchfork, you've got the 10 to 20 pip ratio, because each leg of the pitchfork will be 20 pips minimum on a 10 pip stop loss. That's where the ratio came from. Oh, and the bigger the scan, the more chance of success. So on the M15, you know, it's less chance of success, if you want to put it that way, a bit negatively, I know, than the hourly scan. So we do the chart analysis on the hourly time frame, but it's a hybrid strategy because it's the 1 minute entry for the precision of the entry. But you can still take more than the 20 pips depending on what the let me go back toward JPY. So on this, I'll go down to the 1 minute. What I was looking at on the take profit. Now, I don't know if it's going to move this way in the sense of playing out, but it's just to show you how you can stack in for getting, you know, 50, 60 pips. Just because you're on the 1 minute entry does not mean that you're just only taking 3 to 5 pips. That's not what it means on this strategy. So if you look at this D point on or JPY, and as I say, I'm not in it at the moment, as we know. I would put so let's say it's still, I'm on the 1 minute. So let's say it's above the 62. Let's say it wants to come up. That's usually the strongest entry you can get, where it comes up and retests the D point. So let's just say it does that, but doesn't go up to the next quarter theory, because we've seen what it's done this morning.
Yeah, let's move on from that.
So if I have a 10 pip stop loss on that and a 20 pip gain, that would typically be, and I'll wait, I'll look at the 1 minute, I'll wait for it to bounce off it, I'll look at the time, I'll look till it's descending, get straight in, then I would be looking at possibly about, see if it stalls out on that quarter theory at about, that's probably about 18 pips, put my stop profit in, but then because of where I can see the next levels are, and this scan has about 70 pips, 73 pips between each leg. So it's a very big scan, which makes it more powerful. I will therefore be looking for trailing the 62 with my stop loss. I can see an old pitchforks running through there. So that's at 50 pips. I keep an eye out for it there. Now, at that point, I'll have to be saying to myself, Sarah, don't get too greedy. Secure the bag. You've got 50 pips off a 10 pip stop loss. Just close it. But it could go down to the next level, 60 pips. And then, of course, there's the next pitchfork at, say, 70 pips. So once you've got to that 20 pips and you're thinking, and I'm not saying this one will particularly do this, but say it was a strong momentum trade. The 62 has crossed down over the blue one. So we know it's strongly going down. It's moving quite fast. That is the point at which I can swing this trade, and I can put here, I can stack in another trade at 10 pips, take another 20. This one's still open and running. This is how we stack in trades and get the bigger swings, but still using a very precise entry. So once it's come down past quarter theory, and I can see it's running down, I can then say, okay, I'm going to get in, I'll probably get in there like that, and maybe even a third one. Whereas if you do the longer term trades on, let's say, the hourly, so that goes down another 20, and there we are, coming down to our pitchfork. You've got to have like a 50 pip stop loss to get this same kind of result, but I'm using just a 10 pip across all of this. So I can come in here, and then in the meantime, I'm still running down. This is my stop loss, which is now into stop profit. And this is how we do it. So that trade's now 20 pips and still running. This one started off and it's risk-free because the stop loss is in the profit area. So I'm trailing the 62. However, I'm choosing to run this down, run it down. That can come up. Here. So you could get, this is in theory, I'm not saying it's going to happen on this one. So let's say you end up with 30 pips off that. It depends where it starts to stall out on you. You know, 40 pips on that. And here, say you took it down to that pitchfork 50. So you've got 50, 90, something like 120 pips off one trade. And you've pulled yourself into a risk-free situation all the way down. That's how we stack in for the longer swings off a 1 minute entry with a 10 pip stop loss. That's what I've been taught off chance.
Very good.
So we're not just sat in, if you were on the hourly or, you know, an hourly entry, you'd have to have what, a 50 pip stop loss to get 150 pip gain and sit in it for days. We're doing that within 7 hours, 4 hours, 7 hours. That's 1 day's work, 150 pips with no risk once you've passed a certain point. But you can't swing for those the whole time, you know, but that's how we do it. That's the strategy he's developed.
Do you stick to your pattern Sunday night?
Well,
if it withdraws itself.
Well, I try to look at the scanner, or someone tells me if the D point's redrawn and I've missed it. But I do usually check. I do look at where I am with the new scans.
Right.
And then before I trade, I will try and run through the 24 pairs that I've got very quickly, because I can tell, you know, if they're sat in the middle of a level, then I don't want to know. Then I'll end up with a little short list. Like Chance did that this morning. I can't find the piece of paper now.
Yeah, you told me.
You know, yeah, but he had just had that little set of 6. And that's just whiz through them all, which looks the best. And then you ignore the rest. That's how we do it anyway. So this is looking nice again. You see, it's just there, it is retested that D point. Okie doke, so that's it for today. I think Sharon's obviously on. I've eaten into her session, so my apologies to her for that. I didn't be rude. And Sarah Jane is on with simple BYOB at 3, and then sorry, that'll be 3. Is she on at 3? Yeah, I'll get muddled up with the UK Paris time. And then Les at 7. And it's Tuesday, isn't it? So it's the baby boomer power hour for the Canadians and Americans later on. I hope that was, oh, I better stop recording. Should have done that earlier, really.